Oh, buddy, I am happy to report it is eggnog season. Friends, I'm the Dougmore, and while I hope your holidays are happy, I hope your Christmas is merrier. And to that point, I have a couple of historical stocking stuffers for you today. Something to watch while you're camped out on the toilet, hiding from the in-laws or possibly that holiday rush at work. At this point, I'm sure everybody knows the story of why there were no Christmas lights in the United States towards the end of World War II. GE had been approached by the United States government to take their Christmas light technology and machinery and stop making Christmas lights to make batteries for proximity fuses for naval ordnance. One of the advancements that's credited with winning us the war. So there were no Christmas lights, but we defeated fascism.
How about you? You bet you make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
What I don't think a lot of people know about is what World War II did to tinsel, that stringy metallic stuff that older people put on their trees. In the 30s and 40s, it was made of tin and aluminum. Do you know it was very important for the war effort? You guessed it, tin and aluminum. Now, some folks went around the tinsel problem altogether. They invented things like popcorn garland, where you'd take a needle and thread and string it through a bunch of popcorn and spin that around your tree there. I actually did that as a kid myself. But not everybody wanted to go the popcorn route. Some people still wanted their tinsel, so tinsel companies said, hey, you know what we could do? We could take lead foil and just cover it with a little bit of tin, and it'll basically be the same thing. So people bought their lead tinsel, they handed it to the children who dispersed it all over the tree, and I actually found stories on Reddit of people who remember being alive between 1945 and 1964-ish when we realized, oh crap, lead. And their favorite part about cleaning up from Christmas was collecting all the tinsel and cramming it into a big lead ball to play with for the rest of the day. Quote Simon Whistler, the past really was the worst. So I'll set the stage for you. It's 1926, and the United States is 6 years into our experiment with prohibition. Not so you'd really notice though, because nobody stopped drinking at all. They really haven't even slowed down. There are a number of ways to go around the liquor bans and get your hands on that sweet, sweet illegal hooch. And so towards the end of 1926, Calvin Coolidge's administration decides to crack down on one of these avenues. See, what people were doing was they were taking industrial alcohol, denatured alcohol, which is just normal alcohol that the government has mandated certain additives be put into so that it wouldn't be pleasant to drink. And what criminals are doing is they're stealing this industrial alcohol, they're paying chemists to remove all the denaturing additives and then selling it as normal alcohol. And the Enforcement Bureau reckons that by the end of 1926, we're losing about 60,000 gallons of industrial alcohol to the illegal liquor trade. So they decided to do something about it by stepping up their denaturing formulas. Basically, they just start adding anything that could kill a person to the liquor. Benzene, gasoline, iodine, cadmium, zinc, mercury salts, nicotine, ether, formaldehyde, chloroform, camphor, carbolic acid, quinine, acetone, kerosene, and most deadly of all, the government mandated that by the end of 1926, all industrial alcohol had to contain at least 10% methyl alcohol, which is an extremely poisonous form of alcohol, a little bit of which will make you blind, and like ever so slightly more will just kill you outright. These new formulations of denatured alcohol with denaturing agents that can't be fully removed hit the streets just in time for Christmas 1926. You got your Christmas parties, you got your Christmas dinners, your New Year's Eves, your office parties, and the hospitals start getting flooded with people stumbling in blind and then dying a few days later. And no place is hit harder than New York City, where once they figured out, oh shoot, it's the alcohol that the government is poisoning that's killing all these people, they were able to determine a high side estimate of about 400 people died during that Christmas season in the New York City area from drinking poisoned alcohol. And proponents of prohibition claim that these people who died committed suicide. That's how callous they feel towards people breaking the 18th Amendment. Now, as so often does, rational thinking prevails and the public goes into uproar because not only are they killing people via poisoned alcohol intentionally, there's another aspect. If you're middle class or above, you have any money at all, you don't need to buy that crappy renatured alcohol. You can get smuggled beer or whiskey or whatever. It's only the super poor who are being poisoned to death on purpose at Christmas by their government. Pretty awful, but unfortunately it's really just par for the course for the US government in the 20th century. I'm sure everybody knows about the NORAD Santa tracker. Every year, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, tracks Santa. They got a whole little presentation and they track him across the northern sky, making sure everything goes right on his mission to bring toys to all the good little boys and girls of the world. And if you think about it for any amount of time, you kind of start to wonder why exactly it's NORAD's job to snitch on Santa. And I dug into it, and it's a really interesting story with a little bit of Cold War intrigue. You see, in 1955, there was a Colorado-based Sears store, and they published a newspaper article with a hotline that children could call and speak directly to Santa Claus. It was a gimmick, you know, for the holidays, but the paper misprinted the phone number by 1 digit. So instead of calling this Sears Santa hotline, this number went directly to the Continental Air Defense Command in Colorado Springs. So on Christmas Eve, 1955, Colonel Harry Shoup is on duty at Conad. And stories vary whether it was one call, a little girl, that seems to be the one confirmed, or several, but Harry receives a call from a child asking, "Are you Santa Claus and are you coming?" Harry fields the call, creates the magic for the child. The story gains a little bit of publicity and he's asked to do it subsequent years, with it growing and ballooning. In 1958, NORAD officially took it over. In 1981, they formed a dedicated hotline so kids can call up and get a minute-by-minute tracker of where exactly Santa is and how close he is to their house. It's this huge thing where everybody gets together and just does the right thing for children. Right? Well, a lot have asserted that the only reason this story gained any traction and was brought into a national, international facing program was a little bit of a Cold War culture war battle. What they assert is that the US government was trying to co-opt Santa for the West, trying to say, no man, look, NORAD literally protects my dude as he flies across the North Sky, probably from Soviet missiles. We don't know. But I would assert that that's not true at all, because it's not necessary, because the communists have no claim on Santa Claus. Lenin literally canceled Christmas from the end of the Russian Revolution till about 1935, when they realized they had a huge morale problem during the winter months, and so they came up with their own bullshit Bolshevik holiday that doesn't take place on Christmas, but is very similar to Christmas, and doesn't have Santa. It's got somebody that's very similar to Santa. It sucks. It's a crappy communist knockoff. Point is, we just did lead for the kids and poisoned alcohol, so why don't we choose the brightest timeline for ourselves and choose to believe that the Santa tracker has nothing but the best, most pure intentions at heart. This one sucks because I didn't know this, and learning this ruined a childhood tradition for me. I was just researching this video, looking for some crazy stories y'all might not have heard, and I stumbled on this, and I was like, no, that can't be true, and then I researched it. Anyway, there's this hundreds of year old tradition in Germany involving a glass pickle ornament. And what it is the last person to go to bed, or in some retelling, Santa Claus hides this glass pickle on the tree. And it's hard to see because green tree, green pickle ornament. And then the first kid to find the pickle in the morning either gets an extra present or some extra honor. Maybe they get to open presents first or eat more dessert, or just a fun extra bit of Christmas that they celebrate in Germany. It made its way across the ocean. Now lots of people celebrate it in the United States. I do, my entire life. As a kid, we did this. I do it with my kids now, and it's a super fun, very old German tradition. And the only problem with it is that it's neither very old or German, and it's only barely a tradition. What happened was people got interested in this American version of a German tradition, and they tried to talk to people in Germany to find out the origin story. And there's a couple asserted origin stories, one involving a German Civil War soldier who was a prisoner of war who begged for a pickle as his last meal, and it kept him alive all winter. And then some murdered children that St. Nicholas had to retrieve from a pickle barrel. I didn't read more into that one because honestly, I don't want to know. Point is this, a 2016 YouGov poll of folks in Germany found that 91% of people living in Germany in 2016 had literally never heard word one about a glass pickle ornament tradition, and only 2% of people in Germany actually have this tradition as part of their Christmas. And then we started looking over here and realized, oh, it's an American tradition in the most American way possible. It wasn't thankfully, pickled children or Civil War soldiers. It was an ornament salesman who had a whole bunch of extra pickle ornaments, because who the hell would want a pickle ornament? And he had to find a way to sell those. May have even been Woolworths. In the late 1800s, they had a whole line of glass fruit and vegetable ornaments, pickles included. Conceivably, the pickles didn't sell because why would you want a pickle? It's baffling why you would even make a pickle ornament. It's a bummer that it's not a real tradition, though I've been doing it for 37 years. I'll be damned if I'm gonna stop now. So it's a tradition now, and I think I prefer it being a fake tradition to having anything to do with, you know, pickled children. Alrighty, friends, that's all there is to it. Let me go edit this thing so I can get it to you guys before the new year. If you liked the video, like the video, that's common sense. Maybe subscribe to the channel. I absolutely cannot wait to see y'all on the next one, which will more than likely be after the new year, but who knows. I get some strange new hyperfocus I think you'd be interested in. I'll let y'all know. I need more eggnog.